Welcome to Minimalist Cover. This is where I will show you how to draw with a lasso and to make some simple elements. So for this one, you'll make one cover and then two iterations of that cover. What that looks like is we've got one original with some swords, some cross swords, and then making and taking that design and doing different iterations of remixing it, changing it in little ways to make it better, hopefully, over the course of it. So for the cover that I'm going to make right now, I chose Robin Hood. You can choose whatever you'd like. For the story, it could be a video game, it could be something, it could be a movie, it could be a book, lots of things. And in the end, we're going to have something that looks like this. So we've got some simple elements. We've got a hat, we've got a bow, we've got an arrow, and then we've got the title. So that's what we want to end up with. And so let's see how that all comes together. Number one, to start this, you can grab the template from the course page and drop it in. That's how mine looks like this. So it's already got things laid out with the original iteration 1 and iteration 2, and it's locked. So it's all locked up really nicely, and it's ready to go because we won't be changing this at all. So when we're using a reference photo, that just means that we're going to use a photo or a picture of some kind just to guide us along to get our imagery in place. And so for me doing Robin Hood, I thought of a bow and arrow being something very specific that is big for the story, as well as the hat. The hat is very recognizable, so that's what I'm going to start with. And so I've got my reference photo in here. I'm going to delete it after, and but I want to use it right now, so I'm just going to leave that layer, and I'm going to come down and grab an empty layer. So now I've got an empty layer to make my actual drawing on. Now if you're using a mouse, it works really well if you use the lasso and then the polygon lasso. It works great because you don't have to have any drawing skills whatsoever to use this, and you can get a great result. So right away, I'm just going to grab the kind of outline of it, or like a silhouette basically of the hat. And it doesn't have to be perfectly like the photo. You can change it. You can make style changes. Like the one I'm going to make it a little more sharp along the front. I don't like how blunt that end is. And so I'm just going to bring it down. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger down here as well. And I'm just going to keep going, clicking, putting these anchor points down. As you can see, I don't actually have to draw in the way that you usually think of drawing. I am just clicking, putting points down, and when I get to where I started, it will end it, and there we go. I've got my selection. So once again, I'm going to make sure that I'm on my empty layer, and now it's very easy. I'm just going to use the fill bucket, so it's going to spill paint into the area that I've selected, and I'm going to click down here to grab the color that I want. So because it gets described, the hat gets described as Lincoln green, I'm going to grab a nice foresty kind of Lincoln green. I've got my paint bucket, I've got my selection, I'm on my layer. So now all I have to do is click in the middle of this thing, and boom, I've got the outline of the hat. So that looks pretty good. Now what I want to do is, it's too simple. If someone sees this, they're not really going to know what it is exactly. It kind of looks like the hat, but not quite fully. So I need a little bit more detail, even though it's minimalist. So I'm going to right click on my drawing layer, and I'm just going to take the opacity down. So fully opaque is not see-through, and it's a little bit see-through as I take this down. So I'm just going to do that so that I can see what's going on in the photo. And I'm going to add this onto the layer that I've already got. I'm going to grab my lasso once again, and I'm looking for any dark spots. So I see there's a dark spot back here. There's like a shadow. There's a shadow back here, and I want to have this. I want to have a line here. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make this. I'm going to add detail. Just another color block, like I just did, just like the hat-shaped color block. But this time it's going to be smaller, and it's going to look more like a line. I'm going to come over here. There's a shadow back in this area. I'm going to grab that. I'm going to come down, and I'm going to follow the brim or the fold of the hat a little bit, going this way, keeping it pretty parallel, making it really skinny, and then flaring out down here at the bottom again, just to show this shadow. Perfect. Okay, so I've gone all the way around that. Once again, I'm going to choose a color. I'm going to go darker green this time. I could use black, I could use lots of different, but I like a darker color. That's going to look good and minimal. Choose my fill bucket, and once again, make sure I'm in the right layer and click and fill that thing. Okay, perfect. So now let's zoom out a tiny bit and let's turn the opacity back up. And I'm gonna turn off the original. There we go. That looks like one of those hats now. Now it's got the shape. Just adding that little block of color in there really did it. Now, I don't like the shape of the feather on the original photo, so I'm going to make up my own using the same lasso, and I'm going to put it on a different layer just to begin with. And so I'm going to grab my lasso. So this is just the same. You're going to notice there's a pattern, right? I'm going to select, I'm going to grab the color, and then I'm going to fill the selection. That's what's going to happen. So it's an easy pattern to get into. It doesn't take a lot of time to get used to it, and you get some really good results. So instead of using the feather that's in the photo, I like this shape a little bit better. It's going back. It looks more readable like a hat to me. So now that I've made my selection, I'll grab a red color. I think it should be like a brightish red like that. I can go OK, grab my fill bucket once again, drop it in the selection and deselect it. There we go. I think that looks great. That looks like a Robin Hood hat. Nice and simple, but it really works. Now, when I'm moving this around later to make my iterations, I'd like to have the feather and the hat combined. So you can actually combine or merge layers together. If you click on the top one and right click and go merge down, it will actually merge or combine it. So now it's just one layer with those two elements on it. Perfect. So if you want to follow those steps to make your own elements, that's how you do it. And each of your elements in the graphic can be made in the same way. Now you can see I've made an arrow and a bow. And those, I used the same technique using this photo to trace and then just making things the way I wanted them. Once you have everything made, you can delete any of the photos that you used for the reference, since you won't be needing them anymore and they take up space in your layers. You can see that I've got a title and I used the text tail tool to do that, which is really simple. And then now just to compose your image, your first one, you can put them in any way you want. Compose it, put the elements in different places. And once you're happy with the original, then that's perfect. You've got everything you need to make your new iterations for the first and second one and any subsequent ones you want to make. You can keep all your layers separate just like this and watch the next video to see how you can make different iterations quickly. Good luck!